Is the Galaxy S25 FE actually worth the wait? That's the question many Samsung fans are asking as leaks continue to hint at what's coming next. This upcoming Fan Edition model is expected to land sometime around September or October, and while it may carry some upgrades, there are also signs that a few things might not change at all, and that's got people talking. Let's begin with something that actually looks promising: the selfie camera. Based on the information so far, Samsung is planning to use a 12-megapixel front-facing camera on the Galaxy S25 FE. Now, if that sounds familiar, it's because this is the same camera setup being used in the Galaxy S25, S25 Plus, S25 Ultra, and even the new S25 Edge. Compared to the 10-megapixel front camera on the Galaxy S24 FE, this change might seem small, on paper. But in real-world use, it could be a noticeable improvement. See, megapixels are just one part of the story. What really matters is how the camera performs. And that depends on things like the image sensor, software processing, and smart optimization. If Samsung applies the same level of image processing and software improvements that we've seen in the S25 lineup, then selfies, portrait shots, and video calls could definitely look sharper and more natural. For people who love taking front camera, photos, or making video calls, this is definitely a win. But not everything about the S25 FE seems like an upgrade. When it comes to the back cameras, things appear to be staying mostly the same. Reports say the phone will once again feature a 50-megapixel main rear camera, the same one used in the S23 FE and S24 FE. While that's not a bad thing, since it's a solid sensor and still performs well, the concern is with the other cameras, the ultra-wide and the telephoto. So far, there's no sign that Samsung plans to improve those two. That means wide-angle photos and zoom shots might not look much different from the last two models. And for users hoping to see a big camera boost overall, this could be a bit disappointing. It seems like the focus is on maintaining, rather than improving the rear camera setup this time around. Now, let's talk about the processor, a key part of any phone. Right now, the chip powering the Galaxy S25 FE hasn't been officially confirmed, but rumors suggest it could use the same Exynos 2400E processor found in the Galaxy S24 FE. If this turns out to be true, it might raise some eyebrows. While the Exynos 2400E isn't terrible, it's also not on the same level as the latest Snapdragon chips being used in some of Samsung's more premium models. In day-to-day tasks, it might still run fine. But for gaming, multitasking, or heavy use, the difference in performance could be noticeable. Fans who care about speed and long-term software performance are definitely watching this closely. Why are people already pre-ordering iPhone 17 cases months before the phone is even released? The iPhone 17 isn't expected until September 2025, but some users are already buying cases for it. That's right. Even before Apple announces the phone, its accessories are being sold online. And what's more surprising is that these cases might actually give us a clear idea of what the new iPhones will look and feel like. This all started with an industry insider who previously leaked accurate CAD files and 3D printed models of upcoming Apple phones. Now they're offering phone cases based on the same 3D data. If you're curious, you can even message them directly on X, formerly Twitter, to request one. But these aren't just ordinary cases. The insider's designs appear to match perfectly, with 3D dummy units of the iPhone 17 family. So, when someone fits a dummy model into the case, it snaps in as if it were the real phone. That gives early users a pretty good feel for Apple's upcoming devices, even though the actual phones haven't been shown yet. Let's talk about design. The iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max seem to have a massive camera island on the back, still keeping the familiar triple lens setup, but with a slightly wider layout. It's likely Apple is planning a camera upgrade, and that larger housing might point to improved sensors. The iPhone 17 Air, which is said to be a thinner version of the phone, shows a smaller but still noticeable camera area. The shape reminds some people of what we've seen in Google's Pixel 9 leaks. On the other hand, the base iPhone 17's design looks different, and not in a good way, according to early reactions. The cutout for the camera appears awkward, and it's making some users question Apple's choices for the standard model. Interestingly, people in China are already going to stores where they can try out iPhone 17 dummies with these cases. Even though they're just plastic shells with no real hardware inside, users can feel how the phones will rest in the hand, fit in pockets, and compare weights across models. For some, that hands-on preview is more exciting than watching rumors online. But, let's be honest, pre-ordering a case before buying the actual phone sounds risky. What if you end up buying a different model? Or Apple changes something last minute? Still, this kind of early move shows just how much excitement builds before an iPhone launch. We've seen this before. When Samsung's One UI 7 was leaked ahead of time, people were downloading unfinished apps just to get an early taste. Apple fans are no different when it comes to staying ahead of the curve. These iPhone 17 cases have also sparked other leaks. Some accessory brands have accidentally confirmed the design by listing cases for sale early on their websites. While Apple stays silent, these small mistakes by third parties are painting a clearer picture. Are iPhone prices about to go up again? And will Apple tell us the real reason why? Leaks are pointing toward a possible price increase for the iPhone 17 series. And while the official explanation might focus on new features or a fresh design, the real reason might have more to do with politics than technology. According to a new report, Apple is seriously considering raising the prices of its upcoming iPhones. This would affect the whole iPhone 17 lineup, which is expected to launch in September. So far, we haven't heard any official confirmation, but sources close to the supply chain say this move is on the table, and Apple is trying to avoid one word: tariffs. Right now, tariffs between the US and China are creating major challenges. For tech companies, even though there's been a pause in the broader trade war, it doesn't apply to everything. Smartphones are still under a 20% tariff, and that could get worse. An earlier tariff rate was as high as 125%, but for now, it's temporarily dropped to 10% on some electronics. So, where does Apple fit into this? Apple has been trying to avoid price hikes by cutting costs with suppliers, but according to the report, there's not much room left to save. That means raising iPhone prices might be Apple's least bad option to stay profitable, especially as production costs climb. Here's the catch. Apple doesn't want to blame the tariffs. Instead, it may point to new features or the redesigned look of the iPhone 17 series as the reason for the higher prices. If rumors are true, we could see some major changes this year, including a super-thin iPhone 17 Air, expected to replace the current Plus model. So far, the current prices look like this. iPhone 16 starts at $799 US. iPhone 16 Plus starts at $899 US. iPhone 16 Pro starts at $999 US. iPhone 16 Pro Max starts at $1199 US. We don't yet know how much more the iPhone 17 models will cost, but if Apple does raise the prices, it'll probably try to tie it to the new design or performance upgrades. One big factor behind the scenes is where these phones are being made. Most iPhones are still assembled in China, especially the Pro and Pro Max models. Apple has been slowly shifting production to India, but the report says that India's factories still don't have the scale or technical setup needed to mass-produce high-end models like the Pro Max. For now, it seems that Chinese factories will still handle most of the Pro and Pro Max production, even though tariffs make that more expensive. Shifting large-scale production to India or Vietnam could take years. So until then, Apple is stuck with rising costs and limited options. One investment bank, Jefferies, estimates that around 65 million iPhones were sold in the US last year, and over 36 million of those were Pro or Pro Max models,